What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us here at the Trust Your Board podcast. My name is Stephen Wright. I am joined by my co-host, Mr. William Monroe. Will, we've been in hibernation for months now. How are you? Did you come out of it okay?
Yeah, I was pumped to be able to get back outside, and then we got hit with the coronavirus, and now we're all quarantined back inside.
Yeah, I don't want to make us sound too important, Will, but since our last recording, I lost a championship. The 49ers lost the Super Bowl. We almost had war with Iran. Australia burned to the ground. Now there is just chaos with toilet paper, hand sanitizer. So
It,
maybe,
it it
maybe
it
this
all
recording
links
is going
out.
to fix. Yeah, exactly. Maybe we are the key to all this.
There's a common denominator, and I think it all adds up to us.
It makes sense if you think about it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see. So, guys, first off, if my audio sounds weird, that is because I am not using my normal microphone. I am not home right now. It is nothing related to Corona, but I'm staying with some family for some other things. So if my audio sounds kind of weird, that is hopefully just a one or two recording kind of thing. But Will assures me that I sound as sexy as always. Is that right, Will?
Yeah, let's go with that. I think that's exactly what I said.
That's what I heard
Verbatim.
anyway. um,
Selective hearing, I believe that's called, Steve. Selective hearing.
yeah, or just making stuff up. But either way,
Something like that.
that's what I heard. So we are, as we said, back with doing some mock drafts. We said we'd be back a little bit after free agency started. Luckily, free agency happened, so we we're here for our first mock draft. I think Will. I don't know about your mindset going into this, but me, it's just let's see where people are being drafted and have fun and just knock out the first mock of the year.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Usually, you're coming into them with an idea of certain guys you like in certain rounds, but I haven't done one since maybe before the start of the draft or the start of last season. So no preconceived notions here. Just seeing where everyone's going and just taking best available.
Yeah, that's the truth. You want to tell everybody what our scoring format is and where we're drafting out of?
Yeah. So we are going to be doing a 12-team PPR draft. So pretty much the standard nowadays. And I will be drafting out of the 103. Steve will be drafting out of the 110.
That's social distancing right there, Will.
Got to stay 6 picks apart. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the rule. Oh yeah, we are six exactly too. Aren't we?
That is the way to do it.
There we go. There we go, guys. See, we're doing our part. So, Will, you good if we go ahead and get this show on the road?
Yeah. I think I got the easy pick here.
Yeah, let's see who falls to you. So let's go ahead and get it going. Okay,
All
yeah,
right.
looks like Barkley and Camaro went off.
Yeah, pretty easy for me. I think at this point, McCaffrey's probably the 101. You could argue Barkley or McCaffrey really at this point with a new quarterback with Teddy Bridgewater coming in for CMC. Maybe Barkley gets a bump being in the offense, but I think for me, I'd probably go CMC, Barkley, McCaffrey in that order right now. So I'd be thrilled to get McCaffrey at 3. Before I take him here, Steve, about 7 picks away at 10. Anybody you have your eye on down there?
Not particularly. We'll see as running backs come. I'm kind of looking through the ADPs right now, and they definitely seem messed up. I'm seeing James Conner quite high, David Johnson as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be a weird one. I'm guessing they just don't have a lot of data right now to go off, so they're combining that with last year, or we're just doing
Yeah,
last year. So I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm aiming for a running back though, in general.
looking for that running back here. So we'll see. Yeah, it looks like PPR they have Michael Thomas, 11. So yeah, I'm sure you'd be thrilled to see him down there.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna lock in McCaffrey, and we will see what happens from here. 104 is Zeke, Devontae Adams at 5, Lev Bell at 6, Julio Jones at 7, David Johnson, woof, at 8. We don't expect that to be happening down the road. And then DeAndre Hopkins, person he was traded for, going one pick after him.
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing some of the older ADPs, it seems, with Bell and
Mm,
DJ, who will not be in the first round under any circumstances, I
absolutely not.
think, next year.
Yeah,
Um,
I haven't seen anything really on either of them. Where would you just kind of spitball in here before we can see, before we understand where they're going to be? Where would you say right now they would be at ADP?
oh boy. Bell is probably going to fit somewhere in like the third, I would imagine, uh,
Mm,
depending on like hype trains and stuff. Maybe he gets himself back into the back of the second, but I highly doubt it. I would think third. I'm not very high on him, but at the end of the day, he still gets an incredible amount of volume. So I think
mm,
that'll carry him up there. I really don't know what to make of David Johnson. I would imagine he's going to fall into that old like Lamar Miller kind of range. Like he'll be in the back of the fourth, maybe in the fifth somewhere. Uh, I really don't have any interest in him. But I mean, who knows? Maybe you see something in preseason and he looks really good, and if that happens, he's going to jump up for sure. Maybe all the way
yeah,
up into the second, but I don't think that's in the cards. I'd imagine he'll be in that Lamar Miller kind of ADP. How about you?
no. It's weird. I mean, I think I'm there with you for Bell. Maybe someone reaches into the second, but for the most part, he'd be a good volume guy for the third round. You're not going to be thrilled to draft him, but you know that the volume's going to be there. I don't know what's going to happen with David Johnson just because this offense has been so predicated on the volume of DeAndre Hopkins. And now that he's not there, you've got, a couple of speed receivers that can go deep. They still have, I believe, Kenny Stills and Fuller. They don't really have the possession guy. So is it going to be more of a check down game with DJ and DJ as well? It's going to be confusing. David Johnson, Duke Johnson, both on Houston.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah,
That's going to get old.
how many drafts are going to be messed up because someone drafted Duke and over DJ by accident.
Yeah, for sure. Plenty.
Yeah, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind. I'd say maybe the fourth-ish sounds, okay. You already have a receiver or two and a running back, and David Johnson's your RB2. Obviously, with a ton of upside, but I imagine someone takes him, in the second or third, most drafts.
Yeah, that's fair. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and take a look at my pick here. There are a couple people that I could see falling this far. Maybe Chubb. I doubt Dalvin Cook does.
Yeah,
Joe Mixon,
Dalvin's got to
Chubb.
be top five.
Yeah, Chubb, Mixon, Fournette. I could see them all being here. Um,
Mm,
but for the time being, we are playing with these ADPs. So I'm going to take Cook. Um, I really like Chubb this year. I like Mixon a lot this year too, but I think
mm.
Cook's just a step above with Hunt coming back with Cleveland. I don't. Is that a sure thing, or is that just a most likely still?
I think it's a sure thing. I thought they re-up or they
It's re-up there,
transition
right?
tagged him. That I don't. I think it may have been like a transition tag or
Yeah. I
some type
mean,
of tag that someone would have to give them a first round pick if
yeah.
they get him. I want to
At the end
say.
of the day, it's a formality. He'll be back, and he's going to hurt Chubb.
Yeah,
And I like Mixon, but we
yeah,
saw what his floor was last year, so I'm not going to play the game. So I'm going to lock in Dalvin Cook here.
yeah. I know they send Whitworth or not Whitworth. They send a big lineman from Tennessee. So maybe that hurts Henry a little bit and helps Chubb in Cleveland, but
Yeah,
not enough for me to want him over Cook. I agree.
for sure. So we locked in Cook. We had
Ooh,
OBJ go with the 111. Again, probably not realistic there. We had Michael Thomas and Tyreek Hill go at the turn, and
112.
then Juju going at the 2-2 there. So I am back on the board. We got all our quarterbacks available. We got all our tight ends available. Top running backs, just to kind of peruse through the list, because like James Conner is not a top running back. we still got
No.
we still got Chubb, we got Gurley, Mixon, Fournette, Chris Carson. Aaron Jones, who is probably going to be going quite early next year. And then at wide receiver, we have Mike Evans, Thielen, Keenan Allen, Diggs, Cooper, and the like, Godwin. I am going to throw a curveball at you, Will. I am.
Oh,
It's early. It doesn't matter. I can do what I want because it's just for fun. I am locking in Lamar Jackson because I don't
ooh,
know who's.
Superflex.
No, not super flex. It's regular. I know it goes against our logic, but I don't know who's going to be there as a late round quarterback. And for now, I'm just not going to gamble on it.
Hey, there you go. Lock it in.
Why
Do
not?
we think Lamar is going to be the flavor of the year here and majority of the time be going over Mahomes?
I think so, and I don't think they're going to end up that way at the end of the year from ranking standpoint. But yeah, I got a feeling he will, and I'm really curious what his ADP could be because I could see him sneaking into the first
Yeah,
round. Which I mean,
yeah.
obviously we're not touching him.
No, but I understand why, right? He is
Yeah, difference maker.
deadly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So,
after my pick, we had a run of decent people. We had James Conner go right after, which is kind of whatever. But we had Todd Gurley and then Nick Chubb. We had Travis Kelsey, Patrick Mahomes, Mike Evans, and that brings us to you with the 210.
yeah, so it's interesting. There's not too much I'm looking at tight end. I mean, Kittle, Ertz, you're big guys, so I'm not looking at tight end here. Um, if I was going to reach on a quarterback, it would be Mahomes and Lamar. Usually don't do it, but neither of them are available as well. So looking over the receiver position, since they've already got McCaffrey, and top of the board is Antonio Brown, who doesn't have a team right now, which is interesting. But yeah, I think the ADP is kind of all over the place. Chris Godwin's, down about 41. I'm sure he'll be drafted. Probably wouldn't even be on the board at this point, I guess. But I like Godwin. You got, Diggs is still boomer bust, but I'm not thrilled with any of them. Maybe Godwin over the rest. One guy that does interest me this year, and we haven't locked in the reason because they haven't been able to draft the number one pick yet. But I'm a little more on the upside on maybe starting to get on at the first stop of the Joe Mixon hype train this year. I don't know exactly, how it's going to be with the rookie quarterback. You're still loading up the box, but if Burrow comes out, saying that they Burrow 101, Burrow comes out, starts to light it up in the first, couple games, and the defense has to back off a little bit. Mixon could be in line for a big year with no really receivers, thrilling me right now. I think I'm pretty excited to take Joe Mixon and pair him with McCaffrey. So we'll go Mixon. There's Antonio Brown. That's a tough one. Maybe we'll say that that's one of the first rookies off the board. I don't know if I see any rookies in here yet. But then we have Leonard Fournette, Adam Thielen, and Keenan Allen.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thought. I never thought about the rookies. I guess they're not in sleeper probably until the draft
No,
occurs, which is
that's my guess. And I don't think you can do like first 101. You can't like draft
nah,
rookie picks or anything.
nah. But yeah, I mean there'll be a rookie going there, so we'll just, as you said, someone there.
Pretend that's, your Taylor, Swift,
Yeah,
Dobbins,
Dobbins, something
whoever
like
you want
that.
it to
Yeah,
be.
indeed. So what are you thinking
So
here at the
next,
303?
yeah, next, I mean, I think it's pretty easily Godwin for me. I mean, maybe I could reach on a Kittle and get, a big tight end, but I don't want to miss on the upside there, especially with the best quarterback of all time now. And I'm sure Godwin will be trading him the number 12 for guaranteed 150 targets this year.
For sure, I bet he does.
It'd be interesting though to see. I mean, maybe he just respects Brady and gives him the number, but I always am interested to see kind of what the deal is when a veteran comes over and buys his number off of a player. So it'd be interesting to see what Brady would do for Godwin for getting that number.
Indeed, I believe the rumor was that Godwin was willing to give it up. So yeah, we'll see what the trade is. I'm sure something will go down there.
Well, I'm gonna lock in Godwin here, but in the spirit of kind of feeling it out, Steve, who are you looking at, or maybe thinking about hoping gets back to you here?
That's a pretty fair question. Mark Cooper would be great.
Mm,
Given the ADPs, I'm not sure if that's really going to happen. Kenny Galladay would probably be the most ideal for me right now. Um, Maybe another running back. I mean, again, it's the ADP, but Aaron Jones is still here, so that would be a pretty
mm,
big win. So yeah, it is. It's difficult given the ADPs at the end of the day. Josh Jacobs is still there. I already mentioned Darren Jones, Ingram. It's probably a little early for Ingram. Melvin Gordon's interesting. Derrick Henry's still here. He'll be a top pick
mm.
come to the beginning of the year. He'll be a first rounder most likely. So, given the ADP, it's kind of weird, but I'm not set on a wide receiver or a running back. I want to try to remain flexible and see what gets back to me.
All right. Well, I'm gonna lock in Mr. Chris Godwin here. So I'm gonna lock in Chris Godwin, and we'll see who gets back to you. So we got Devonta Freeman, likely to still be there. Damian Williams, Chris Carson, Kerryon Johnson, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery. A run on running back.
A run, and I'm kind of curious where a lot of these people are going to fall come
Yeah,
actual season. If KC brings in another like shady like player, is Damien going to stay in the third? Chris Carson with his injuries, carry on injuries, David Montgomery not performing. So a lot of interesting people that very well could end up around here ADP wise. Uh, so for my decision, we do have Josh Jacobs available. We got Sony Michelle, Ingram, Gordon, Derrick Henry. For wide receivers, we do have Diggs, Amari Cooper, Edelman, Brandon Cooks. We're not doing that, obviously. Robert Woods, Cooper Cup, Kenny Galladay. I will go ahead and get one of the big ones out of the way now. As unfair as it is, I will go ahead and just take Derrick Henry here. Dalvin
yeah.
Cook, Derrick Henry combo would be vicious. Definitely not something that's going to happen. But just to get that out of the way, and plus, I mean, can't go wrong with more running backs. I will go ahead and grab Henry.
Nope.
After my pick, we had Stefan Diggs, Josh Jacobs, Amari Cooper, and then Brandon Cooks coming off the board. So a lot of not a lot, but three wide receivers out of our four picks. So not a lot really changing. I probably do need to go in here and get my first wide receiver. And there's some solid options. Edelman, I'm not super interested in. Lockett's fine, but I really don't want him as my one. Robert Woods isn't bad, but the one I really want is Kenny Galladay. I do think he's an elite receiver as long as Stafford can stay healthy. We've had a lot of injury problems last year and the year before that. I think he made it through the whole season, but it came out at the end that he had some broken bones in his back. So some
Mm,
concerns with him now, but I love Galladay, and I do trust him as my one. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in here.
all right.
So after my pick, we had Sony Michelle go off, Zach Ertz, Melvin Gordon, Mark Ingram, Marlon Mack, and George Kittle. And now it is to you, Will, with the 410.
All right. So I was hoping possibly Kittle got back. So obviously going off right in front of me there is tough. At this point, I'm not really looking at any of the tight ends or any of the quarterbacks. Watson is maybe somewhat interesting, but this is the kind of the time that I'd be, more hoping that Mahomes or Lamar were there in the last round to take. So not really looking for a quarterback either. Could use a receiver, but once again, not super thrilled with the options, and it could just be the way the ADP is falling here. Galladay, Cooper would have been nice. One guy that's pretty far down on ADP that I'm interested in is a DJ Moore.
Saw that coming.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's one other guy that I'll see if he gets back to me here. I'm pretty sure he will because his ADP is a little weird, but I'll get to him in the next round, whether he's there or not. Usually two players that I'd be interested in. So we're gonna go with DJ Moore here. It still feels really weird to be able to getting these players and just the way their ADP is, but we'll go DJ Moore and see if either of these other two guys go. Now locking in a couple of receivers here and Edelman, Lockett, Cooper, Cup, and then Deshaun Watson. So now I'm kind of torn between two running backs that are still on the board, and I'd venture to guess they'd both still be there for you just the way their ADP set up. First one, Miles Sanders, and the second one, Austin Eckler. I would typically lean, try to stay away from the homer pick, but yeah, really would love to get Sanders. But if this the way this team is set up, I think I'm gonna take a risk on Austin Eckler here. I don't know if he'd be there in the fifth round of a PPR, but in this case, I'm gonna roll with what seems to be the volume. They didn't really get anybody in free agency. There's a chance maybe they draft someone, but they could just stick with Justin Jackson and Eckler and just, maybe not pound the rock with Eckler, but give him a ton of workload in the passing game as well as a moderate rushing load. So we'll go with Eckler before I lock it in. Anybody you hope gets back?
Not in particular. Again, I'm not eyeing any certain position, so we'll see. Like you said, Sanders would be really nice. So would um, would of Eckler. He was definitely on my radar. Geis is kind of interesting. We'll see, but I'm not set in on any position right now.
What about like a Kenyon Drake?
Yeah, that would be a pretty big one as well. Definitely someone I'm really curious to see where his ADP ends up. I'd imagine somewhere in the middle of the
Mm,
second round or something. Um, Definitely someone I will take a look at depending on who comes back.
awesome. So we'll see here, and I'm gonna lock in Austin Eckler. Tyler Boyd follows, Josh Gordon, Robert Woods, James White, Calvin Ridley, and T.Y. Hilton.
Man, was Josh Gordon's ADP actually in the fifth round last year?
Not that I remember. Maybe by the end of this season, people were hyping him up. I don't know.
Maybe I don't recall. I mean, I guess he did start the season, didn't he? I don't.
I think
Yeah, he got
so.
cleared. He got cleared right before we did our work draft, I think. Because I
That's
remember
right.
we had our fill in for our friend Calvin, and he drafted Josh Gordon, and we
Hmm.
were like, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense for
Yeah,
Calvin.
it's actually not a crazy pick this year.
Right? Oh boy. Okay, so on the board for me, I'm not worrying about quarterback. I'm just going to skip through some of these people because Philip Lindsay will not be going here. We have Miles Sanders still on the board, Geis, Tariq Cohen. There are rookies here. Will I do see Jonathan Taylor here? Um, Not assign any teams, but they're in here. We got Drake, Singletary, two people that also won't be here at this time. Looking at the wide receiver position, we have Mike Williams, D.D. Westbrook, who will not be considered in the fifth
No.
round next year. A.J. Green, maybe. Landry, Alshon, Robbie Anderson, Allen Robinson, Manny Sanders, Will Fuller. So plenty of good options there. And then at tight end, starts with O.J. Howard. After that, it's not that bad. Ingram will still probably be up there. Hunter Henry, Jared Cook, Vance McDonald, Joku won't be up here. Austin Hooper. So no one is screaming out at me other than Miles Sanders and Drake. Again, I do have some interesting guys, but eh. So I will go ahead. I'm going to lock in Sanders as my third running back, and then probably look to take a wide receiver here on the turn coming back to me. So we had Duke Johnson, Tevin Coleman, Aaron Rodgers, and then OJ Howard go off. So again, let's take a look at these wide receivers: Mike Williams, Dede, AJ Green, Jarvis Landry, Alshon Jeffrey, Robbie Anderson. I'm going to call a little bit of an audible here, Will, and I'm going to go way off of
Ooh.
ADP to grab somebody by the name of Cortland Sutton, who I will
Ooh,
imagine is
yeah.
not going to be here in the sixth. But
No. I
so
scrolled down to look for him as well and added him to my queue just now.
yeah, I'm gonna grab him. I guess I'm kind of blending the old ADPs with the new ADPs, and I'm settling in the middle of the ground of a sixth round pick. But he's also somebody I'd be very comfortable as my one, if need be. But having him as a second wide receiver would be awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and
Hmm.
lock him in there, make myself feel a little bit more confident about this team. And then after me was Evan Ingram, Philip Lindsay, AJ Green, Mike Williams, Hunter Henry, and old man Lamar Miller, who I cannot see going the 6'9"
No.
or at all. But There he is. So you are on the board, my friend.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do something similar to what you just did. Go for a bit of a reach, says ADP, but based on where I think the ADP will be this coming year, I do not foresee him being available in the sixth round at all, just like Sutton. And we're going to take the second A Brown available in this draft, as Antonio Brown was for some reason already drafted. And we're going to go AJ Brown here in the sixth round.
That might have been the replacement. Do you think AJ Brown goes? Where did Antonio Brown go? 211. Do you think AJ Brown gets up there?
Eh, maybe. I mean, he could. I think he'd probably be somewhere in that threshold with Keenan Allen, Thielen, Godwin.
Yeah, he feels more like a third round to me, but there's a lot of
Yeah,
I don't want to call them homers, but there's a lot of people that are absolutely in love with AJ Brown and would probably leap up and
absolutely.
grab him in the 211. So maybe that was the pick instead of a rookie, but can't blame you
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So we'll, obviously, you know, see what actually happens. I doubt he'll ever be there that late, but then we have D.D. Westbrook, Jarvis Landry, Jared Cook, and Darius Geis, somebody that you were just talking about there.
Indeed.
So there's a couple of other receivers and running backs I'm looking at here, but I do want to take a look as it seems like a few of the tight ends have gone, at this point, probably really punting that position. But there's still a few quarterbacks available, and I think only four went. So I think, there's more than enough that I'm still comfortable with. A couple that I would really like, but, enough that I'd be more than okay with taking in the still in these mid rounds, not like a punt position player. So I am going to look at somebody I mentioned a little earlier there with you, and I'm going to go and shore up this running back core and go with a guy like Kenyon Drake in a all of a sudden high-powered offense with DeAndre Hopkins and the 101 last year. And why am I blanking on that quarterback's name right now? Kyler Murray. We're going to go with Kenyon Drake. After Drake goes Baker Mayfield, Allen Robinson, Tavius Murray, Drew Brees, Tariq Cohen, and Alshon Jeffrey.
Okay, so we're back to me. A pretty balanced team. I'll just recap it real quick. We got Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, and Miles Sanders at running back. We have Kenny Galladay and Cortland Sutton at wide receiver, and then Lamar Jackson at quarterback. So I don't really feel like I need anything. So top running backs on the board. We're starting to run into these rookies that we didn't know were in here. We got Jonathan Taylor, Swift, Singletary's here, Breeda's here, Daryl Henderson's here. Penny Hunt,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Howard, who knows what his role is going to be at Miami. So some interesting options. Dobbins, of course. At the wide receiver position, we have Robbie Anderson, Manny Sanders, who in New England or in New Orleans is pretty interesting. Fuller, Curtis Samuel, Christian Kirk, Sterling, Shepard, Jerry Judy, C.D. Lamb, Sammy Watkins, who will probably not be going in the seventh round.
Mm-hmm.
These Green Bay wide receivers, Geronimo Allison and MVS. What a debate that was last year that didn't turn into anything. So, and no one here is really jumping off the board at me. I don't love anyone here. And because of that position, I'm going to go ahead and just grab a running back and I will grab Devin Singletary. I think
Yeah, smart
they
move.
add someone, whether it's just bringing Gore back, I don't know. They need to add someone there, but I do think that he's firmly in place as a starter this year. So it's a pretty easy grab for me. After my pick went Carson Wentz, Jonathan Taylor, Will Fuller, and Tony Pollard. I am back on the board. We'll take a look at the tight end position that you had mentioned. We got Vance McDonald, who will not be drafted. We have Njoku, who will not be drafted. We have Hooper.
I'll, I'll
Uh,
call one out to you as well that will not be here because he's still there. And I noticed Mark Andrews.
yeah, I saw that. I will I will just not draft him, I guess.
Yeah,
Waller too. He's another one that's not going to be here come this pick. So, being that we're just having some fun here and doing a mock draft, I'm going to be a bit of a jerk, and I'm going to draft Dallas Goddard as my first tight
Ooh,
end. Take that, Will.
that is painful.
That's why I did
But
it.
there was a little tier of quarterbacks that I was hoping to get back to me, and two of the three went. So, well, three of the four went with Breeze as well, and then Wentz and Matt Ryan. So, at this point, I know there's only one team behind me that doesn't have one. Chance that he gets back to me, but there's nothing else I'm really thrilled with, barring Mark Andrews actually being available in the eighth round, which we pretty much doubt. So I'm gonna sit here and lock in Russell Wilson here at the eighth.
That's it. I just saw that, and I don't. Was his ADP this low last year?
Not that I recall, but yeah, look at that. Jared Goff goes off at the other team. So Rashad Penny, Jared Goff, Emmanuel Sanders, Vance McDonald go. So at this point, I have Russell Wilson, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, Austin Eckler, and Kenyon Drake at running back, Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, and AJ Brown at wide receiver. There's, you know, it could be a Hooper available. Actually, at this time, probably not. Like you said, Waller, I'm sure going to be gone, as well as Andrews. So I'll probably take this team, and kind of mark them as a punted tight end, since most of them probably won't be there. And I'll look toward the wide receiver position. Let's see who's still available here. It's hard to tell because you got, all types of people that are all over the board. So I'm trying to see what an accurate ADP would be. Where are we now? Probably the 100s, roughly, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Maybe closing in somewhere in the 90s. And one guy that I'm looking at that's still here that kind of seems like more of a safe play with the young guys that I have is a guy that you and I both like, in Marvin Jones. He, I think, landed on IR at the end of the year there, and haven't heard much about what his status is this year, but I would imagine he would be healthy. So we'd be looking at a guy like him, typically a guy like Curtis Samuel, but with the news today of them signing Robbie Anderson, that kind of muddies the waters there, and already having DJ Moore. But just really, it's hard to tell. Like, there's, you got guys down here like Michael Gallup. Uh, there's not too much else. A couple of the rookies. So I'll play it safe here and go with Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
After that, we got Matt Breida. Jerry Judy goes off the board. Darwin Thompson, Austin Hooper, Darrell Henderson, and the aforementioned Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair for Marvin Jones. He could end up in the ninth. He could end up a little bit earlier, a little bit later. He's
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard to tell, right? Um, it-
Absolutely.
Fun seeing Darwin Thompson up here. That hype train
Yeah.
never amounted to anything.
No, year one hype train that goes nowhere.
Yeah. So I went to look at wide receiver here because I do need more wide receivers. Again, I know you mentioned Gallup. There's no way Gallup would actually be here at this
Mm-hmm.
time, so I'll be a nice person and just kind of avoid him altogether. Um,
Yeah.
Not a ton of people that I love. Crowder is kind of interesting because there's just nobody playing for the Jets at the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
Tyrell Williams, you got DK Metcalf, he's not going to be here. But I did zone in on one guy that I couldn't tell you where his ADP is going to be. And maybe you can shine some light. I think this might be too late. It might be dead on, but I'm going to grab Anthony Miller. He showed
Yeah,
some
it
good stuff
sounds
last
about
year,
right.
right? So he
Yeah.
showed some
Yeah, I
good stuff
think
last year.
maybe earlier this round, but somewhere right around here.
Yeah, it's not that much of a stretch. I think we're
No, not at all.
playing fair there. So I will grab Anthony Miller to add to my wide receiver core. Then we had Sammy Watkins, Sterling Shepard, Geronimo Allison, and Big Ben go off the board. So if you're new to the podcast, just me and Will tend to be late round for the quarterback and tight end position. We also don't tend to draft backups for those positions. So I'm not looking at the tight end position anymore. I'm not looking at the quarterback position anymore. So I'm not going to touch on either of those. Will, I believe you still need a tight end, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll visit that
Correct.
area at some point here. So Running backs that we have that are realistic, Kareem Hunt, probably not realistic, but still good. Jordan Howard might be here, Royce Freeman, Dobbins, Justice Hill, Alexander Matson. AP is kind of an interesting play here. Cam Akers, we got Gore. Malcolm Brown would probably be available here, might end up at a timeshare. So he's kind
Yeah.
of interesting. From the wide receiver position, we do have CeeDee Lamb. We have James Washington, Larry Fitzgerald, Dante Pettis, who is a very painful name to bring up. Deshaun Jackson, not bad. Golden Tate in a PPR, interesting. Crowder, who I had mentioned before. Tyrell Williams. Cole, I can't see Cole falling this far. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think someone would take the shot on him by now.
I would think so as well. So, again, in the interest of trying to play this fairly, I'm going to avoid all these good players, and I will take my shot on Tyrell Williams for now. Oakland, I think they added Aguilar, but that's about it as of right now. So, unless they go get a big wide receiver in the draft, it's still the Tyrell Williams show. And even if they do, he's not going to fall out of like the wide receiver two position. Maybe they'll have CeeDee Lamb as the one, Tyrell as the two, and then Renfro coming out of the slot. So I'll stick with
Mm.
Tyrell, hoping not to play him, but he's a solid bye week filler that I'm somewhat comfortable with. And after Tyrell, we had CeeDee Lamb go, and we had Cam Newton, who might end up in the 10th round. We really don't know.
Yeah.
Marquez Valdez Scantling, Dante Moncrief, who will not be drafted, Jordan Howard, Jameis Winston, who also could end up in the 10th round, who knows, and then up to Will with the 10-10.
So I'm gonna go with looking at the tight end position, trying to figure out what it would actually look like. We have Mark Andrews still on the board, Darren Waller still on the board. We'd imagine they'd be gone. But a guy that I think could be available here, and it's probably not going to be the late round tight end, maybe somewhere more toward the middle. Maybe he goes a round or two earlier. So I'm going to look toward the Denver Broncos and for a guy like Noah Fant. Flashed a couple of big plays last year. What do you think there, Steve?
I was wondering if you would go Fant or Hawkinson. Uh,
Yeah, I got bit by Hawkinson, so I got like a little bit of buyer's remorse there last year.
yeah, that is fair. I'm really curious as to whose ADP is going to be higher. I mean, Hawkinson, had the bigger hype, but Fant ended up with the better season. So I'm really
Yeah,
curious to see
my
where that
guess
ends
is
up at the end
Fant.
of the day. Yeah, I would think so
I'm
too.
guessing Fant would, yeah. But I'll go with Fant here, lock down that tight end position. So then we're just going best running backs and receivers from here. And the guy that I, I doubt is still here, and I don't think I'm going to take him, but I think it's interesting to note is Devontae Parker. I'd imagine he goes much earlier than this. The ADP right now is 163. So if you are drafting early, take note of some of these guys are mentioning. ADP for Mark Andrews currently still on the board, 142. ADP here of Parker at 163. I don't know if anyone's ever doing a redraft this early, but take advantage of ADP when it hasn't been. If you are doing a mid-off season draft, looking just kind of at that running back receiver position. There's a lot of interesting players. The Bellagio is still there. I know we were pretty hype on him last year. Not too much hype to go there. The only guy that's really interesting right now for me sticks out is taking a shot on a rookie here. I do like it, at least one rookie running back to see if it pops. And the one that I'm seeing and that I think could be the 101 depending where it goes is J.K. Dobbins. I think he's the only one still available here. I like Dobbins. I think he's going to be one of the best, just kind of natural pass catchers too. So I mean, look going into it, I think I currently still have it Swift, Dobbins, Taylor, but you can really go any which way of those three. So for me to be able to get Dobbins this late, I think there's a chance he would still be there. Probably goes a little higher, but we'll take a shot on him because I don't see too many other kind of shot in the dark players.
Yeah, that is fair. Can't argue with you there. So, taking a look on my end here, obviously a pretty similar situation to you, where we're trying to figure out who would be going here and who's got some sort of value to them. There is someone here that you passed over that I do have some interest in, because we're in 11th round and you're not going to get that many running backs that are going to have value. I'm going to go ahead and grab Adrian Peterson here. He's got
Hmm.
injury prone Geis in front of him. He's got Love behind him, who's been hurt. I believe they signed Peyton Barber, which is meaningless. No one really cares about Peyton Barber. So, we've seen him still have fantasy success. So I'm going to grab him in here. I think this very well could be his ADP come next year. I don't know. Maybe he'd be even further in the draft if Geis is really looking good in preseason and there's no kind of injury concerns there. Or maybe, he still gets drafted because of, everybody's just worried about Geis or them, easing him back in or something. But I'll go ahead and lock in
Hmm.
AP as kind of a safer upside-ish kind of a guy here late. After that, when Corey Davis might go in the 111. I don't know. Jalen Samuels, Philip Rivers, TJ Hawkinson. So I will turn my attention to the wide receiver position here. We have Deshaun Jackson, who is interesting and very well could end up here
Yeah.
come the season. Golden Tate, Jameson Crowder. We're coming back around to where some of these people are somewhat realistic again. Kiki Kuti, um, Cole Beasley, maybe. Not super excited about that, but maybe.
Yeah.
Um, I will go ahead and lock in I want to say Crowder, but I feel like his ADP is going to be like 3 or 4 rounds higher than this because he's the only option. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Djax. I think this is probably fair ADP for him. Um, give myself a little nitro button at the wide receiver position.
Yeah. No, I agree. I got a couple more names here for you that are interesting. You got DK Metcalf and Devo Samuel both still on the board somehow. It's
Yeah,
weird
they
to
rolled.
see.
Yeah, they
They would most
no.
assuredly not be there anymore.
No, Metcalf's going to be high. He'll end up in the 4th round, 5th round. Debo, I don't really know. He could end up in the same spot. I could also see him falling to like the 7th if they bring in somebody in the
Hmm.
in the draft. So he's pretty interesting. But no matter what happens, neither of them are falling down this far without some sort of
No.
injury occurring somewhere.
Oh, just saw Terry McLaurin as well. Man, it's so rough to see all these guys here
I know the
trying to
team you
figure
could have
out
built last year.
DJ Chark. Oh,
Painful. But
that's
we did have go off the board John Brown, Delaney Walker, Golden Tate, Dak Prescott, Justin Jackson, and then Crowder before your pick.
so looking through. Well, at this point, I'd probably be looking at a wide receiver. It's hard. Five running backs for a receiver. So try to keep it even. There's, the shot of like an Alexander Madison, maybe, to hold for the first week or two here. But other than that, there's really not too many running backs that I'm thrilled about. A lot of receivers I'd love to get, as I mentioned a few, but I don't think any of them would be there. A guy like Harry maybe hangs around this long,
Yep,
Nikhil
I was
Harry.
looking at him too. It's possible.
Yeah, so I'll give Harry a shot because I think that's a realistic option. And then I've got another wide receiver here that I think is interesting as well. And since that's probably the weaker side of my team, we had after I took Harry, Madison, Justice Hill, Kirk Cousins, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the arguable fourth best running back right now, going into the draft. One guy that I think is interesting, he is still currently a free agent, but may be around this time, would be a Brashad Perriman.
Perriman signed.
Oh, did he
He
sign?
signed like an hour ago while you were working. He
Yeah.
signed. He signed with the Jets
Oh,
for
that's not
like
a
8
horrible
million.
spot for him.
Yeah,
Well,
indeed.
I'll go with the Brashad Perriman, kind of nitro button type player, like you mentioned there as well, and lock down another wide receiver.
Yeah, there you
After I
go.
take him, we have Justin Jeffries, DK Metcalf, Jalen Rager, Mecole Hardman, Demarius Thomas. Man, never thought I'd say those all in one sentence.
Right?
And then
Devonta Foreman.
Deonta Foreman. Oh man,
Oh man, talk about people that blew their opportunity.
Yeah, people used to mix up Deonta Foreman and Devonta Freeman, and right now may be able to mix them up because they're both not on the team. I don't believe.
Indeed, indeed. So we had 2 rounds left, so I'm drafting pretty quickly here, so I don't have to think too much because this exercise is getting difficult. Will,
Yeah.
it is a tough one. We have Malcolm Brown here, who very well could end up, on the right side of a RBBC for a really good team. That is possible. At the wide receiver position, Kiki Kuti's here. Somebody's got to catch the ball in Houston. We also have
Hmm.
Kenny Stills is out there if that interests you. Uh, Funchess is showing Green Bay. Did Devin Funchess sign with Green Bay?
Not that I remember, but
I don't.
maybe.
I don't know why else he'd be showing there, but I don't recall that either. But anyway, I guess we can look into that. We got Randall Cobb for Houston. A lot of these Houston guys, if you want to take your shot, which is a pretty good strategy. Eventually you have to take your shot. At this late, it doesn't really matter if you miss or not. Just take somebody you believe in and hope for the best. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and you can drop them. So
Mm,
that is what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to take my shot on somebody here on that team. It's not going to be Kuti because he gets hurt too often for me. I am going to go ahead and grab Kenny Stills because I believe he's got some kind of boom upside to him, as we've seen both when Houston and Miami. So I will grab him as kind of my upside shot here. I don't know where he'll go ADP wise. Probably around here, maybe. And then after me, or after Kenny Stills, we had Peyton Barber, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller. Wow. And then Dion Lewis. For my final pick, this is one that I think could be realistic and has been on my mind. I'm sure things are going to change by the time the actual draft rolls around, but I'm going to lock in Jerick McKinnon. The
interesting.
49ers brought him back for a reason, and I believe that reason is he's super talented. Um, but
At least
he's a
you'd want to hope.
yeah, right. I don't have some grand dream that he's going to end up being like the top running back for that team, but he could end up being the pass catcher because I think he's the best natural pass catcher on the team. And in Shanahan's offense, that's going to be incredibly valuable. So I'll take
Hmm.
my shot there. Kind of one of those situations like we were mentioning with Balaj last year. See what happens week one. If it works out, cool. If it doesn't, drop him, move along. So I'm comfortable with that. After my pick went Damian Harris, Mitchell Trubisky, Ito Smith, Debo Samuel, Malcolm Brown, and Greg Olson. And we turn to Will for your final pick.
Yeah, I was looking at Malcolm Brown there. 'Cause he seems like he would be available now. He's someone I'd want to draft, and he's gone. And you got guys like Ronald Jones, who I don't think would probably be available based on the way that offense is set up. Even Cam Akers, I'd imagine, would probably be drafted with the amount of rookies that are going to be hyped this year.
I got a name for you. Just kind
What
of
do you got?
curious. What about Naeem Hines inheriting the Austin Eckler role with Philip Rivers?
That's not a bad idea. Hines, I guess he'd probably be going around here, right? Yeah, I would think somewhere in this range, maybe a little bit early.
Yeah, probably a couple rounds earlier, but nothing
Yeah.
I wouldn't think crazy.
What about maybe a guy like Chase Edmonds? Had I not had Kenyon Drake, he could be a guy that you take a shot on and see maybe he pops and the other guy gets hurt type of thing. But in order to, for the sake of time and just not going crazy trying to figure out who would actually be there and is still currently there, we'll go with Naeem Hines. Nice suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
And then Naeem Hines, Jimmy Garoppolo, and finally Cam Akers.
Okay, well, you want to run down your team real quick here?
Sure. Let me pull it up. So at quarterback, got Russell Wilson. At wide receiver, Christian McCaffrey, Joe Mixon, Austin Eckler, Kenyon Drake, J.K. Dobbins, and Naeem Hines. At wide receiver, Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, AJ Brown, Marvin Jones, N'Keal Harry, Brashad Perriman, and then at tight end, Noah Fant.
Okay, and for me at the quarterback position, we have Lamar Jackson. At the running back position, we have Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, Devin Singletary, and AP, and Jarek McKinnon. At the wide receiver position, I have Kenny Galladay, Cortland Sutton, Anthony Miller, Tyrell Williams, Deshaun Jackson, and Kenny Stills. And then my tight end is Dallas Goddard. Overall, Will, given the exercise that we just experienced there, how do you feel about your team?
Yeah, I like it as a whole. And now, as I'm looking at it, I'm just kind of seeing, there's no way I'd get all of these players. A lot of them would be, first 4 or 5 rounds for, McCaffrey, Mixon, Godwin, Moore, Eckler's probably in there, AJ Brown, and then imagine Drake. So a lot of guys that probably wouldn't be available, but I'd be thrilled to have this team going into the year. How
Yeah,
about you?
kind of the same boat where it's like, wow, yeah, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, and Devin Singletary, sign me up. Um,
Yeah,
there's
maybe in a dynasty league if you played your cards right,
I
but
know, right? At the end of the day, I love it. I mean, Dallas Goddard isn't my favorite tight end for a redraft this year, but if I can stick it to you, then I'm gonna stick it to you.
hey, there you go.
This is how it goes sometimes.
Double down with Jackson as well, I see.
Yeah, buy into that Philly offense again.
Okay.
So that is going to wrap up this mock draft experiment, as I guess we'll call it. We'll be back again with another one shortly. Hopefully, the ADPs are fixed there, but give us a follow on Twitter at Trust Your Board and subscribe on YouTube if you want to watch the draft board unfold live. Will, do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I just wanted to, as you said, give us a follow on Twitter at Trust Your Board, and YouTube as well. I wanted to also point out that I believe we have we'll be on another podcast for a mock draft coming up later this week. What do you have the not handle, but name of that podcast, Steve?
Yeah, so it's called the Fantasy Flavor Podcast. If anyone listened to it, I was on it about a month ago and did the first 4 or 5 rounds of a Dynasty Superflex. So I believe we're going to be doing a Superflex rookie draft this time around, both Will and I. So that should be coming out later. So again, follow us on Twitter, and we will let you know when that goes live as well.
Perfect. And yeah, everyone be safe out there. Remember social distancing. If you got to get to the grocery store, you got to pick up your groceries, but be safe out there. We're all in this together. This is a global pandemic, so everyone look out for each other.
Indeed. Be safe and always remember to trust your board.